Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin by confronting an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes people use others. They do so for their own gain, without regard for the damage they leave behind. This isn't an indictment of all relationships, it's a call to awareness. Because when a man uses you, it's not just a betrayal of trust, it's a fundamental affront to your sense of self. Why does this happen? In many cases, it's a question of power. Power imbalances, be they emotional, financial, or social, often underpin relationships where one person takes and the other gives endlessly. But the real tragedy lies in how easily we rationalize it. We tell ourselves stories he'll change, or it's just a rough patch. Denial becomes our refuge because the alternative, facing the truth, feels too devastating. But here's the thing, you cannot afford to live in denial. Denial doesn't just obscure the reality of the situation, it erodes your dignity piece by piece. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to disentangle yourself from the web of manipulation. Now, let's talk about the signs, because the signs are always there if you know where to look. Does he consistently take without giving? Does he use charm as a weapon, a tool to keep you compliant? And perhaps most tellingly, does he treat your time, your emotions, and your efforts as things he's entitled to rather than gifts you choose to give? When you find yourself in this position, the temptation is to blame him entirely. But here's a sobering thought: you have a responsibility too. Not for his behavior, but for allowing it to persist. This isn't about self-blame, it's about self-awareness. You must ask yourself, why did I allow this? What am I afraid of losing if I walk away? The answers to these questions are often uncomfortable, but they are essential. Because until you confront them, you cannot break free. You cannot reclaim your agency. But once you do, once you draw that line in the sand, you begin to see something extraordinary happen. You rediscover your worth. You remember that you are not merely a means to someone else's end. You are a person full of potential, deserving of respect and reciprocity. And yes, it will hurt. Walking away always does. But pain, in its raw and unfiltered form, is often the birthplace of growth. It is through pain that you learn resilience. It is through pain that you become wiser, stronger, and more discerning in the future. Remember, this being used is not a reflection of your inadequacy, it's a reflection of their character. Your task is not to fix them, it's to protect yourself, to set boundaries, to demand better. So take this moment, this painful, pivotal moment, and turn it into the foundation of something better. Because when you stop allowing others to define your value, you begin to live a life that is truly your own. Power dynamics are an inherent aspect of any relationship, influencing how individuals interact, make decisions, and allocate responsibilities. When these dynamics become imbalanced, one person may begin to assert control or exploit the vulnerabilities of the other, often subtly at first. This imbalance is not always intentional or malicious. It can stem from ingrained habits, societal expectations, or individual insecurities. However, the result is often the same: one person benefits disproportionately while the other is left feeling diminished, undervalued, or used. In situations where a man uses you, power dynamics often play a central role. This exploitation may arise from financial dependence, emotional attachment, or even social pressures that make it difficult to assert your needs and boundaries. The imbalance can manifest in various ways, such as one partner always making decisions, dismissing the other's concerns, or taking advantage of their kindness or resources without reciprocation. What makes these dynamics particularly insidious is how they often evolve gradually, making it hard to recognize their impact until significant harm has been done. The person being used may feel an increasing sense of obligation, guilt, or fear of conflict, which further entrenches the imbalance. Meanwhile, the individual wielding power may come to see their behavior as acceptable or justified, perpetuating a cycle of exploitation. To understand power dynamics fully, it's crucial to recognize the interplay between personal boundaries and relational expectations. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and balance, where both individuals feel empowered to express their needs and contribute equally. When one person monopolizes power, whether through overt dominance or covert manipulation, it erodes the foundation of trust and equity that sustains meaningful connections. Recognizing and addressing these dynamics is not just about identifying the signs of being used, it's about reclaiming your agency and fostering relationships where power is shared rather than hoarded. Emotional investment is a natural and integral part of any meaningful relationship. It involves dedicating your time, energy, and emotions to someone, building a sense of connection and shared purpose. However, this investment can also become a double-edged sword when it is not reciprocated or respected. In relationships where one person is being used, emotional investment often becomes the very mechanism that keeps them trapped in an unbalanced and unhealthy dynamic. When you care deeply about someone, your emotional attachment can create blind spots. You may focus on their potential rather than their current behavior, rationalize their shortcomings, or convince yourself that their needs and wants must always come before your own. This deep emotional connection can make it incredibly difficult to recognize when you're being taken advantage of, as your investment in the relationship leads you to prioritize preserving it at all costs, even at the expense of your well-being. Emotional investment often fosters a sense of obligation. The more you give, the more committed you feel to making the relationship work, regardless of the other person's actions. This can lead to a dangerous cycle, where your emotional contributions are met with indifference or exploitation, but you continue to pour more into the relationship, hoping to see a change. Over time, this can drain your emotional reserves, leaving you feeling depleted, unappreciated, and stuck. It's important to recognize that emotional investment, while powerful, should not be one-sided. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual care and respect, where both individuals feel seen, valued, and supported. When emotional investment becomes a tool for manipulation, where one person exploits the other's feelings to maintain control or gain advantage, it undermines the very essence of a genuine connection. To safeguard against this, you must cultivate self-awareness and set clear boundaries. Ask yourself whether your emotional investment is being met with equal effort and respect. Reflect on whether the relationship enhances your sense of self-worth or diminishes it. By learning to identify when your emotional investment is being taken for granted or misused, you empower yourself to make choices that protect your emotional health and foster relationships that truly honor your worth. Manipulation in relationships often begins subtly, making it challenging to identify at first. However, over time, patterns emerge that reveal the underlying intent of control or exploitation. Recognizing the signs of manipulation is a crucial step in protecting yourself and maintaining healthy boundaries. Here are key indicators to be mindful of. One of the most common signs of manipulation is emotional coercion. Manipulators often use guilt, shame, or fear to influence your decisions. For example, they might say things like, "If you really loved me, you would do this for me," or "I thought you cared, but I guess I was wrong." These tactics are designed to make you feel obligated to act against your better judgment, prioritizing their needs over your own. Another red flag is gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation where the person distorts the truth to make you question your own perceptions and sanity. They might deny things they've said or done, dismiss your concerns as overreactions, or suggest that you're imagining problems that are in fact very real. Over time, this can erode your confidence in your ability to make sound decisions or interpret situations accurately. Manipulators often exploit unbalanced reciprocity, where the relationship becomes one-sided. You may find yourself constantly giving, whether it's your time, energy, or resources, while they contribute little in return. They may justify this imbalance with excuses or promises of future change that never materialize, keeping you in a cycle of hope and disappointment. Another tactic is playing the victim. Manipulative individuals frequently position themselves as helpless, misunderstood, or unfairly treated to elicit your sympathy and compliance. By presenting themselves as someone in need of rescue, they shift the focus away from their behavior and onto your responsibility to fix things for them. Control through isolation is another hallmark of manipulation. The person may subtly or overtly discourage you from maintaining close relationships with friends, family, or other support systems. They might claim that others are a bad influence, sow doubt about your loved one's intentions, or demand so much of your time and attention that there's little room left for anyone else. You might also notice inconsistent behavior. Manipulators often alternate between affection and neglect, kindness and cruelty, creating a roller coaster dynamic that keeps you off balance. This unpredictability fosters dependency as you find yourself working harder to earn their approval or avoid their disapproval. Exploitation of trust is another key sign. They might share personal details about themselves to build an illusion of intimacy, only to later weaponize your vulnerabilities against you. By leveraging the trust you've extended, they can exert greater control over your emotions and choices. Be wary of unreasonable expectations or demands. Manipulators often push boundaries, expecting you to prioritize their needs over everything else. They may become angry or withdrawn if you assert yourself, framing your independence as selfishness or a lack of commitment. Understanding these signs is essential, but so is trusting your instincts. If something feels off, if you feel consistently drained, unappreciated, or controlled, it's worth examining the relationship more closely. Manipulation thrives in the absence of awareness. By recognizing these patterns and addressing them directly, you can reclaim your sense of agency and create space for relationships that are built on mutual respect and care. Your sense of value and self-worth forms the foundation of how you navigate relationships, set boundaries, and respond to challenges in life. It is the intrinsic belief that you are deserving of respect, love, and dignity independent of external validation or achievements. When your sense of self-worth is strong, you are less likely to tolerate being used or manipulated. However, when it is compromised, you may find yourself accepting behaviors that undermine your well-being. One of the first aspects of understanding your value is recognizing that it is not defined by others. Too often, people measure their worth through external factors such as their partner's approval, societal standards, or material success. While these can provide temporary reassurance, they are unstable and external sources of validation. True self-worth comes from within. It is an unshakable awareness of your inherent value as a human being. When you undervalue yourself, it becomes easier for others to exploit you. This often manifests in relationships where one person's needs, desires, or opinions consistently take precedence over the others. You may find yourself bending over backward to please someone, fearing that asserting your own needs could jeopardize the relationship. This imbalance not only diminishes your sense of self, but also reinforces the idea that your worth is contingent on how much you can provide or sacrifice for others. Cultivating a healthy sense of self-worth requires introspection and self-compassion. Begin by identifying and challenging the negative beliefs you hold about yourself. Often these beliefs are rooted in past experiences, whether it's criticism from others, societal pressures, or personal failures. It's essential to separate these external influences from your true identity and recognize that your worth is not diminished by imperfections or mistakes. Equally important is setting and enforcing boundaries. Boundaries are a powerful expression of self-worth. They communicate what you will and will not accept in your interactions with others. When someone consistently disregards your boundaries, they are not just undermining your preferences, they are disregarding your personhood. Standing firm in your boundaries is not selfish, it is a necessary act of self-respect. Another critical aspect of valuing yourself is learning to prioritize your well-being. This includes making time for self-care, pursuing your interests, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you. When you treat yourself with kindness and respect, you reinforce the belief that you are deserving of the same treatment from others. It's also worth reflecting on the relationships in your life. Ask yourself whether they align with your sense of value. Are you being treated with the respect and care you deserve? Are your contributions appreciated, or are they taken for granted? Sometimes the greatest act of self-worth is walking away from a relationship that consistently undermines your sense of value. Understanding and embracing your value is a journey. It requires patience and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But as you strengthen your self-worth, you will find it easier to cultivate relationships and environments that reflect your intrinsic value. You'll stop settling for less than you deserve and instead create a life rooted in mutual respect, authenticity, and fulfillment. Denial is a powerful psychological defense mechanism, often used to avoid facing uncomfortable or painful truths. While it can provide temporary relief, the long-term consequences of denial are far-reaching and deeply damaging, particularly in relationships where one person is being used or manipulated. Failing to confront the reality of such dynamics not only perpetuates the cycle of exploitation, but also exacts a heavy toll on your emotional, mental, and even physical well-being. One of the most immediate consequences of denial is the erosion of self-awareness. By refusing to acknowledge that you are being used, you disconnect from your feelings and instincts, which are critical guides in identifying unhealthy relationships. You might suppress feelings of resentment, frustration, or sadness, convincing yourself that things aren't as bad as they seem or that the situation will improve over time. This self-deception creates a dissonance between your inner experiences and the external reality, leaving you feeling confused and emotionally unmoored. Denial also allows harmful patterns to persist. When you ignore the signs of exploitation, you inadvertently enable the other person's behavior. This doesn't mean you are responsible for their actions, but your unwillingness to address the issue creates an environment where manipulation and imbalance can thrive. Over time, the relationship becomes increasingly lopsided, making it harder to break free and re-establish a sense of balance. Another significant consequence of denial is the gradual loss of self-esteem. When you tolerate being used, even unconsciously, it sends a message to yourself that your needs and feelings are less important than those of the person exploiting you. This can lead to a deep sense of inadequacy and unworthiness, as you begin to internalize the idea that you deserve the treatment you are receiving. The longer this dynamic continues, the more entrenched these beliefs become, making it even more challenging to recognize and assert your value. Denial also has a profound impact on your ability to trust not just others but yourself. When the truth finally comes to light, you may feel betrayed by the other person, but also by your own judgment. You might question why you didn't see the signs sooner, or why you allowed the situation to persist. This self-doubt can extend into future relationships, making it difficult to open up or establish healthy connections. The emotional toll of denial can manifest in physical ways. Chronic stress from suppressing your feelings and navigating a toxic relationship can lead to health issues such as fatigue, anxiety, depression, or even stress-related illnesses. Your body and mind are interconnected, and denying your emotional reality takes a toll on your overall well-being. One of the most tragic consequences of denial is the loss of time and opportunity. By staying in a situation that doesn't serve you, you forgo the chance to invest in relationships and pursuits that could bring genuine joy, growth, and fulfillment. Time spent in denial is time that could be used to build a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. Breaking free from denial is not easy. It requires courage and self-reflection. It often means facing painful truths and making difficult decisions. However, confronting reality is the first step toward reclaiming your agency and healing. By acknowledging the situation for what it is, you empower yourself to take action, set boundaries, and prioritize your well-being. While the process may be uncomfortable, the freedom and clarity that come from living in truth far outweigh the temporary comfort of denial. Accountability and responsibility are vital components of personal growth, particularly in relationships where dynamics have become unhealthy or exploitative. While it may seem counterintuitive to focus on your role in situations where you have been used or manipulated, understanding and taking responsibility for your actions or inactions is a powerful step toward reclaiming your agency and breaking free from damaging patterns. First, it's essential to clarify what accountability and responsibility mean in this context. Being accountable doesn't imply that you are to blame for someone else's mistreatment or manipulation. Their actions are a reflection of their character, not your worth. However, responsibility lies in examining your own behavior, choices, and beliefs that may have allowed the dynamic to persist. It involves acknowledging where you may have overlooked red flags, ignored your intuition, or failed to assert boundaries. Taking responsibility begins with self-awareness. Reflect on the decisions you've made in the relationship and ask yourself why you made them. Were you driven by fear of conflict, a desire to please, or a reluctance to be alone? Understanding these motivations can help you identify patterns and vulnerabilities that may have been exploited. For example, if you tend to prioritize others' needs over your own, it's important to recognize how this inclination might have made you more susceptible to being used. Accountability also requires honesty with yourself. This can be uncomfortable, as it often involves confronting painful truths about your actions or lack of action. Perhaps you stayed silent when your boundaries were crossed or rationalized behavior that was clearly harmful. While it's natural to want to avoid these realizations, facing them is crucial for personal growth and future relationships. By owning your role, you empower yourself to make different choices moving forward. Another aspect of responsibility is learning to set and maintain boundaries. If you have allowed others to consistently disregard your needs or take advantage of your kindness, part of taking responsibility is recognizing the importance of boundaries as a form of self-respect. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about protecting your emotional and mental well-being. Establishing them may feel difficult at first, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself, but it is a vital step in breaking free from patterns of being used. Accountability also extends to how you move forward. It's not enough to recognize past mistakes, you must actively work to change the behaviors and mindsets that allowed them to occur. This might involve seeking support, whether through therapy, trusted friends, or personal development resources. It also means committing to self-care and self-respect, ensuring that you prioritize your own needs and well-being as much as you do for others. Importantly, taking responsibility does not mean carrying the burden of guilt or shame. These emotions can be paralyzing and counterproductive. Instead, view accountability as an opportunity for growth and empowerment. By acknowledging your part in the situation, you take control of your narrative and set the stage for healthier, more balanced relationships in the future. Embracing accountability means extending compassion to yourself. Nobody is immune to mistakes or misjudgments, especially in relationships. What matters is how you respond to those experiences. Rather than dwelling on what went wrong, focus on what you can learn and how you can grow. This perspective transforms accountability from a source of pain into a pathway to healing and self-discovery. Responsibility and accountability are acts of self-respect. They demonstrate your willingness to own your life, your choices, and your growth. By taking this approach, you break free from the role of a victim and reclaim your power, ensuring that your future relationships reflect your true value and boundaries. Recognizing red flags early in relationships is a crucial skill for protecting your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. These early warning signs often indicate patterns of behavior that, if ignored, can lead to manipulation, imbalance, or even exploitation. By developing the ability to spot red flags and act on them, you empower yourself to make informed decisions and avoid unnecessary harm. One of the most obvious red flags is disrespect for boundaries. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and when someone consistently disregards your expressed limits, whether emotional, physical, or otherwise, it's a sign of trouble. For example, they might pressure you to share more than you're comfortable with, dismiss your requests for space, or push you into situations that make you uneasy. This behavior suggests a lack of regard for your autonomy and well-being. Another common red flag is excessive control or possessiveness. This can manifest as attempts to dictate your choices, monitor your actions, or isolate you from your support network. They might insist on knowing where you are at all times, become jealous of your other relationships, or discourage you from spending time with family and friends. While such behavior is often disguised as concern or care, it is fundamentally about exerting power over you. Pay attention to inconsistent behavior or mixed signals. If someone's words and actions don't align, for instance, they profess commitment but behave in ways that undermine trust, it's a sign of potential dishonesty or lack of accountability. Similarly, if they frequently shift between affection and withdrawal without clear reasons, this can create emotional instability and dependency. A significant red flag is a pattern of emotional manipulation, such as gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or playing the victim. Gaslighting involves making you question your perceptions and memories, often leaving you doubting your reality. Guilt tripping uses your sense of responsibility to coerce you into compliance, while playing the victim shifts blame and responsibility onto you. These tactics are designed to erode your confidence and increase their control. Watch for a lack of empathy or unwillingness to take accountability. If someone frequently minimizes your feelings, refuses to apologize for their mistakes, or blames others for their problems, it's a sign that they may lack the emotional maturity necessary for a healthy relationship. A dismissive attitude toward your concerns or needs often indicates that they prioritize their own interests over mutual understanding. Another red flag is rushing the relationship or creating intense dependency early on. This might include declarations of love or commitment too soon, an excessive focus on exclusivity, or pressure to share vulnerabilities before trust is established. While this intensity can feel flattering, it's often a tactic to bypass the natural process of building trust and establishing boundaries. Be mindful of how they treat others, such as friends, family, or service workers. If they display arrogance, entitlement, or disrespect in these interactions, it's likely a reflection of their character. Someone who is kind and considerate only when it benefits them may not genuinely value empathy or equality. Financial behavior can also reveal red flags, such as a tendency to exploit or depend on others. This might involve borrowing money without repayment, avoiding financial responsibilities, or expecting you to shoulder disproportionate costs in the relationship. While financial strain is not inherently a red flag, how they handle it, whether with honesty and accountability or entitlement and avoidance, can be telling. Trust your instincts. Discomfort or unease in a relationship is often your subconscious picking up on red flags that your conscious mind hasn't fully processed yet. If something feels off, take the time to reflect on what might be causing those feelings. Ignoring your intuition can lead to prolonged exposure to harmful dynamics. Recognizing red flags early requires both self-awareness and courage. It means being honest with yourself about what you see and feel, even when it's difficult or disappointing. It also involves taking action, whether by addressing concerns directly, seeking outside perspectives, or stepping away from the relationship if necessary. By prioritizing your well-being and respecting your boundaries, you set a standard for the kinds of relationships you deserve, paving the way for connections that are healthy, respectful, and mutually fulfilling. Communication is the cornerstone of any healthy and fulfilling relationship. It serves as the bridge that connects two individuals, allowing them to share thoughts, emotions, and experiences while fostering understanding and mutual respect. When communication is clear, open, and respectful, it builds trust and strengthens bonds. Conversely, poor communication can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and the breakdown of relationships. Recognizing the importance of communication and actively improving it is essential for creating and maintaining meaningful connections. Communication is about more than words. It encompasses verbal expressions, nonverbal cues like body language and tone, and the ability to listen actively and empathetically. Each of these components plays a role in ensuring that both parties feel heard, valued, and understood. When communication is balanced, it creates a safe space where individuals can express their needs, concerns, and desires without fear of judgment or retaliation. One of the most vital aspects of communication is clarity. Misunderstandings often arise when messages are vague, assumptions are made, or individuals fail to articulate their feelings or expectations. Clear communication helps to eliminate guesswork, ensuring that both parties are on the same page. For example, instead of saying, "I'm fine when you're upset," clearly expressing what's bothering you allows the other person to understand your perspective and address the issue effectively. Active listening is another critical component of effective communication. Listening is more than just hearing words. It involves paying attention, validating the speaker's feelings, and responding thoughtfully. Active listening shows that you value the other person's perspective and are committed to understanding their needs. It also prevents conversations from becoming one-sided or dominated by assumptions, which can lead to conflict and frustration. In relationships, communication is essential for resolving conflicts constructively. Disagreements are inevitable, but how they are handled can make or break the relationship. Open and honest communication allows individuals to express their feelings, address misunderstandings, and find mutually acceptable solutions. This requires a willingness to stay calm, avoid blame, and focus on the issue rather than attacking the person. When done effectively, conflict resolution strengthens the relationship by demonstrating mutual respect and problem-solving skills. Expressing appreciation and affection is another way communication enhances relationships. Small gestures like saying thank you or I appreciate you go a long way in reinforcing positive dynamics and making the other person feel valued. Regularly expressing gratitude and love helps to build emotional intimacy and ensures that the relationship doesn't take a backseat to daily routines or stress. Communication also plays a vital role in setting and respecting boundaries. Clearly articulating your limits and preferences allows the other person to understand what is acceptable and what isn't. This reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings and helps maintain mutual respect. Similarly, being receptive to others' boundaries demonstrates your commitment to their well-being and fosters a culture of trust. In relationships where one person feels used or undervalued, poor communication often lies at the heart of the issue. The inability or unwillingness to address concerns directly can allow unhealthy patterns to persist. For instance, staying silent about feeling taken for granted can lead to resentment, while failing to listen to the other person's perspective can prevent meaningful change. Addressing these issues openly and respectfully is key to breaking negative cycles and rebuilding trust. For communication to thrive, it must be consistent and intentional. Regular check-ins, whether casual or formal, provide an opportunity to discuss feelings, share experiences, and address any concerns before they escalate. This proactive approach demonstrates commitment to the relationship and ensures that both parties feel connected and supported. Effective communication requires self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Understanding your own feelings and triggers allows you to express yourself authentically and respond to others with empathy. It also helps you navigate difficult conversations without resorting to defensiveness or aggression. Communication is not just a tool for conveying information, it is the lifeblood of any relationship. By investing in clear, respectful, and empathetic communication, you create a foundation of trust, understanding, and connection that sustains and strengthens relationships over time. It is through open dialogue that individuals can navigate challenges, celebrate successes, and build relationships that are both fulfilling and enduring. Resilience and growth are deeply interconnected aspects of personal development, especially in the face of adversity or challenging experiences. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficulties, adapt to change, and maintain emotional stability, while growth involves learning from these experiences and using them as catalysts for improvement. Together, they form the foundation for not only surviving but thriving in the wake of hardship. Resilience is about strength and flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. Whether it's a personal betrayal, the loss of a relationship, or a professional setback, resilience enables you to endure and recover. It is not about avoiding pain or hardship, but about facing it head-on with courage and determination. This capacity to withstand difficulties is not innate, it can be cultivated through intentional practices and mindset shifts. One key element of resilience is emotional regulation. In difficult times, emotions like anger, sadness, or fear can feel overwhelming. Resilient individuals learn to acknowledge and process these emotions rather than suppressing or being consumed by them. This doesn't mean avoiding feelings, but rather creating space to experience them without letting them dictate actions. Techniques like mindfulness journaling or talking with a trusted friend or therapist can help in managing emotions constructively. Another critical aspect of resilience is perspective taking. Adversity often feels all-encompassing in the moment, but resilient individuals can step back and view challenges within a broader context. This ability to see the big picture reduces the tendency to catastrophize and allows for a more balanced understanding of the situation. It also helps to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable obstacles. Growth, on the other hand, is about extracting meaning and lessons from adversity. Every challenge carries the potential for self-discovery and transformation. Growth involves asking reflective questions. What can I learn from this experience? How can I use this challenge to become stronger, wiser, or more empathetic? This mindset transforms setbacks into stepping stones, turning pain into purpose. Resilience and growth are particularly important in the context of relationships. When someone has used or manipulated you, it's natural to feel hurt, betrayed, or even defeated. However, these experiences also provide an opportunity to reflect on your values, boundaries, and self-worth. Resilience helps you recover from the immediate emotional impact, while growth enables you to apply the lessons learned to future relationships, ensuring that they are healthier and more balanced. One of the most empowering aspects of growth is the development of self-awareness. Difficult experiences often reveal patterns or vulnerabilities that may have gone unnoticed. For instance, you might realize that you tend to overextend yourself in relationships, neglecting your own needs in the process. Recognizing these tendencies allows you to address them and create a stronger foundation for future interactions. Resilience and growth also foster self-confidence and independence. Overcoming adversity proves to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges and that your worth is not diminished by others' actions or opinions. This renewed confidence enables you to approach life with a sense of agency, making choices that align with your values and priorities. Cultivating resilience and growth requires intentional effort. Developing a support network is essential, as surrounding yourself with people who uplift and encourage you is key to building strength during difficult times. Resilience doesn't mean facing everything alone, it's about knowing when to lean on others. Practicing self-compassion is another critical aspect, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend. Acknowledge your feelings without judgment, and remind yourself that setbacks are part of the human experience. Setting goals and taking action is crucial for growth. Establishing small, achievable goals helps you move forward and regain a sense of purpose. Cultivating optimism also plays a major role. While it's important to acknowledge difficulties, focusing on possibilities for improvement can inspire hope and motivation. Reflecting on your journey reinforces the lessons you've learned and prepares you for future challenges. Resilience and growth are lifelong processes. They are not about erasing pain or hardship, but about transforming these experiences into sources of strength and wisdom. By embracing resilience and committing to growth, you empower yourself to face life's challenges with courage and to create a future that reflects your true potential. Rebuilding trust and confidence is a delicate and often lengthy process that requires both time and effort. Trust, once broken, can feel like a fragile thing to restore. However, it is not impossible. With consistent actions, open communication, and a commitment to healing, it is possible to rebuild the trust that has been damaged. The journey involves understanding the root causes of the breach, acknowledging the hurt caused, and taking deliberate steps toward repairing the relationship or rebuilding self-confidence after it has been shaken. The first step in rebuilding trust is acknowledging the breach. Whether it was caused by betrayal, dishonesty, or a failure to follow through on commitments, it's essential to recognize the impact of the violation. Denying or minimizing the breach only deepens the hurt and makes reconciliation more difficult. This step requires an honest self-assessment and a willingness to face the discomfort that comes with admitting the mistake. The person who has broken trust must take full responsibility for their actions without deflecting blame onto others or external circumstances. Equally important is offering a genuine apology. A real apology goes beyond words. It involves an expression of remorse and a commitment to change. Acknowledging the pain caused and empathizing with the other person's feelings demonstrates a deep understanding of the breach. The apology should also be followed by concrete actions that show a commitment to change and a desire to make amends. Without this follow-through, the apology will lack sincerity and fail to restore trust. Once the breach has been acknowledged and an apology offered, the next critical step is open and transparent communication. Rebuilding trust requires continuous, honest dialogue. This means sharing feelings, addressing concerns, and discussing what went wrong in an open and non-defensive manner. Communication should be consistent, with no hidden agendas or evasiveness. It also requires vulnerability, the willingness to show your true self, to express remorse, and to answer tough questions with honesty. In the case of rebuilding trust in oneself, self-reflection plays a key role in this communication. Being honest about what happened and what needs to change internally allows you to regain self-respect and confidence. Consistency over time is the foundation of rebuilding trust. Trust is built through repeated actions that demonstrate reliability, honesty, and integrity. One isolated act of accountability or kindness may not be enough to heal the wound caused by the breach of trust. Rebuilding requires consistent effort over time, whether it's through small acts of reliability, following through on promises, or being open about mistakes and progress. It's important to be patient and allow time for the trust to gradually rebuild. Those affected by the breach need to see the sustained change in behavior to feel confident that the trust is truly being restored. Part of this rebuilding process also involves setting clear expectations and boundaries. Both parties need to understand what is required for trust to be restored. For the person who caused the breach, this may involve making specific changes in behavior, being more transparent, or demonstrating more reliability. For the person who was hurt, it may require being patient while the trust is rebuilt, setting healthy boundaries and making sure their needs are communicated and respected. Boundaries help prevent future breaches and ensure that both individuals are operating with a clear understanding of each other's expectations. Forgiveness is another crucial aspect of rebuilding trust. While forgiveness does not mean excusing or forgetting the hurt, it is necessary for the healing process to move forward. Holding on to resentment or anger keeps both parties stuck in the past, preventing growth and reconciliation. Forgiveness is an act of letting go, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own peace and well-being. It allows both individuals to release the emotional weight of the past and move forward with an open heart. This is essential for the restoration of trust, as it creates a space for the relationship to heal and evolve. When rebuilding trust in oneself after a breach, self-compassion plays a pivotal role. It's easy to fall into a pattern of self-criticism and doubt when trust has been broken, especially if the breach was self-inflicted, such as breaking a personal commitment or falling short of one's own expectations. Practicing self-compassion means recognizing that mistakes are part of being human. It involves forgiving yourself for past actions, learning from them, and giving yourself permission to grow. Rebuilding self-confidence also means taking small steps towards self-improvement and committing to actions that align with your values. This approach builds a foundation of self-trust, which is essential for regaining confidence in future decisions and relationships. Lastly, accountability is key in rebuilding trust. Whether it is in the context of a relationship with another person or with oneself, taking responsibility for your actions and their impact is vital. It is important to recognize that rebuilding trust is not just about saying the right things, it's about proving your commitment through your behavior. This means holding yourself accountable, admitting mistakes, and making genuine efforts to make amends. Accountability also involves checking in regularly with those who have been affected by the breach to assess progress, express continued remorse, and demonstrate growth. Rebuilding trust and confidence is not an easy process. It demands patience, self-awareness, and consistent effort. However, through honest communication, consistent action, and empathy, it is possible to heal from a breach of trust, rebuild relationships, and restore faith in oneself. Whether it's repairing trust with others or fostering self-trust, the process is an opportunity for profound growth and transformation.